What's up, guys? Sergeant Arterite here. Today we're going to be reacting to part 4 of Napoleon's Marshals, and this time we're reacting to the last half of it. We're going to go right where we left off with, whatever that name is, MacDonald.
Napoleon.
Without further ado, let's get started. Probably go back.
Lack of cavalry continued, and some bad luck were also to blame. Napoleon certainly continued to respect MacDonald's military judgment. He continued to command 11th Corps and was in the thick of the fighting at Leipzig 2 months later. MacDonald was with the rear guard when the French retreat began and was shocked.
Also, Happy New Year's, everybody who's listening. For me, it's like New Year's Eve, like 8 o'clock or so.
To see the chaos that engulfed the army. When the Elster Bridge was blown too early, he himself was trapped on the wrong side of the river and just managed to swim to safety.
Oh, that was the same thing. That was the same part where like a general drowned or something like that on his horse.
Under enemy fire. MacDonald continued to serve Napoleon as a loyal and reliable commander throughout the 1814 campaign, effectively serving as his deputy at several key moments. Unlike most marshals, MacDonald was never under Napoleon's spell and always spoke his mind to the emperor. This in itself was a valuable service, though it sometimes led to heated arguments.
Yeah.
Perhaps inevitably, in April, it was MacDonald and Ney who took the lead in confronting Napoleon with the facts of his situation. The war was lost, and he must abdicate. Napoleon named MacDonald as one of the 3 men who would negotiate with the Allies, telling his foreign minister, the Marquis de Caulaincourt, "MacDonald does not like me, but he is a man of his word, of high principles, and he can be relied on." In their last meeting, a few days later, Napoleon told MacDonald, "I did not know you well. I was prejudiced against you. I have done so much for so many others who have abandoned me. And you, who owe me nothing, have remained faithful. I appreciate your loyalty. Too late."
Oh, wow.
MacDonald was kept on as a military advisor by France's restored Bourbon monarchy. He continued to speak his mind, so much so that Louis XVIII nicknamed him his outspokenness. During the 100 Days, MacDonald remained loyal to the king and attempted to rally troops to fight against Napoleon. When he saw this was futile, he escorted the king to safety in Belgium, then returned to Paris, where he refused to meet with Napoleon. After the defeat at Waterloo, he was put in charge of demobilizing the last elements of Napoleon's Grande Armée, and helped many officers to escape arrest by the Bourbons. MacDonald was a methodical, reliable, if unspectacular commander. But he distinguished himself above all by his lack of vanity or personal ambition, his complete loyalty to France, and his willingness to speak his mind, virtues that were all too rare among Napoleon's marshals.
Yeah.
Marshal
Massena.
Marshal Massena.
No, Massena. So I think I was right then.
André Massena was born in Nice, at that time not technically part of France, but of the Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. His father, a shopkeeper, died when
I didn't know it was pronounced that way.
he was young, so he ran away to sea. Then at 17, enlisted in the French army. He was quickly made a sergeant, but a commoner could rise no higher in the Royal Army, so after 14 years' service he quit. When the French Revolution began, he re-enlisted in a local volunteer battalion. Massena, supremely self-confident and unfazed by any challenge, was elected to command the battalion and led it with success against the Austrians on the Piedmontese front. Despite his lack of education, he proved an instinctive combat leader. He was soon promoted to brigadier, and after leading a successful attack at the siege of Toulon, was made General of Division. He won an impressive victory over the Austrians at Loarno in 1795, And when the Army of Italy's commander, General Scherer, resigned over lack of support from the government in Paris, many expected Massena to replace him. Instead, the job went to the 26-year-old General Bonaparte, 11 years younger and much less experienced than Massena, but with far better political connections. Nevertheless, Napoleon and Massena worked together brilliantly. Massena commanded his advance guard and played a major role in several of his early victories. In reports, Napoleon described Massena as active, tireless, audacious. He won so many battles that Napoleon acclaimed him l'enfant gâté de la victoire.
Look at that. He died only like 2 years after the Napoleonic Wars. That sucks.
The spoiled child of victory.
Okay.
Massena was, however, notorious for extorting vast sums from the local Italians, often while his own troops went hungry and without pay. In 1798, Massena received his first independent command, the Army of Switzerland. The next spring, after French defeats on the Rhine and in Italy, responsibility for the defense of France lay in his hands. Rather than wait to be encircled, he attacked and won a brilliant victory over Austrian and Russian forces at the Battle of Zurich. Rewarded with command of the Army of Italy, Massena led a heroic defense of Genoa in 1800. He was eventually starved into surrender, but his stubborn defense bought Napoleon enough time to cross the Alps and defeat the Austrians at Marengo. Physically exhausted by this last ordeal and surrounded by accusations of corruption, Massena was recalled to Paris and went into semi-retirement. When he was made a marshal by Napoleon in 1804, he seemed distinctly underwhelmed, and on being congratulated, remarked, "There are 14 of us." But Massena was one of the few marshals who'd proved themselves in independent command, making him a priceless asset to Napoleon. In 1805, he was recalled to active service and given command of the Army of Italy in the war against the Third Coalition. Massena kept Archduke Charles's army busy in Italy, while the Emperor won his great victories at Ulm and Austerlitz. In 1806, Massena oversaw the occupation of the Kingdom of Naples, ordering brutal reprisals against local resistance. In 1807, he commanded 5th Corps in Poland, but his role covering Warsaw meant he missed the major battles of Eylau and Friedland.
Oh no.
Later that year, while out hunting with the Emperor and his entourage at Fontainebleau, he was accidentally shot in the face and lost the use of an eye. Napoleon, a notoriously bad shot, was to blame, but the loyal Marshal Berthier claimed responsibility. The war against Austria in
So I don't know if you can hear that bang in the background, but those are just the fireworks.
1809 saw Massena back near his best. His corps formed the vanguard for the crossing of the Danube and fought ferociously to hold the village of Aspern against an overwhelming Austrian onslaught. Massena was everywhere, displaying his usual coolness under fire, and when ordered to retreat, ensured his troops pulled back across the river in good order. The battle was a defeat, but Massena had been superb. Together, he and the Emperor oversaw preparations for the next attempt to cross the Danube 6 weeks later. The Austrians were waiting for them at the Battle of Wagram. Because of a riding accident a few days earlier, Massena had to command his corps from a carriage. He made a fine target for Austrian gunners, but was still able to organize a complex redeployment of his corps at the height of the battle, covered by Marshal Bessieres' cavalry charge. Massena's bold maneuver secured the French left flank and won further praise from Napoleon. Massena, already ennobled as the Duke of Rivoli, received a new title, Prince of Essling, and another less welcome reward, command of French forces for the invasion of Portugal. Massena was deeply reluctant to go and complained bitterly about his appointment. He was showing clear signs of exhaustion and was plagued by rheumatism and bad lungs. When he arrived in Spain, General Foy observed, "He's only 52, but he looks more than 60. He's lost weight and has begun to stoop. His glance, since the accident in which he lost an eye, has lost its keenness." His subordinates, already underwhelmed by his appearance, were outraged that the marshal also decided to bring along his mistress, poorly disguised as an officer of dragoons.
What? Why is he rated so high then? Like, with all the other marshals, I don't get it.
The French invasion of Portugal proved a disaster, undone by Wellington's scorched earth tactics, a hostile population and terrain, and Massena's own lethargic leadership. His corps commanders, especially Marshal Ney, were scathing of his conduct. At Busaco, Massena squandered lives with an unnecessary frontal attack on a strong British position. When he reached Lisbon, he found the city protected by new fortifications, the impregnable lines of Torres Vedras.
Oh no.
Massena waited
I remember doing an episode about that, I think.
outside Lisbon for reinforcements that never came, while sickness and guerrilla raids took their toll on his army. 5 months later, he recrossed the mountains back into Spain, leaving a string of devastated villages behind him. The next summer, at Fuentes de Oñoro, Massena attacked Wellington's army once more, and despite much hard fighting, again failed to win a clear victory. He blamed
Again, why is he rated so high?
Marshal Bessières for his lack of support. But the Emperor's patience was at an end.
Basically, he started off, like, really good. But then he just slowly got worse, especially after he got shot, I guess.
He sent Marshal Marmont to replace Massena, and when they next met,
Marmont isn't as good though.
greeted him with the cutting words, "So, Prince of Essling, you are no longer Massena." Massena's health was now in steep decline. He never held a major command again, though he was recalled in 1813 to supervise a military district in southern France. He died after a long illness in 1817.
Well, that's a tough way to go. You just slowly, like, you start off really good and then you just slowly declining.
In his prime, Massena was a superb commander, incisive and dangerous. But he was past his best by the time he became a marshal. Nevertheless, there were enough sparks of his old brilliance to worry his adversaries. The Duke of Wellington once remarked, "When Massena was opposed to me in the field, I never slept comfortably." Bessières, MacDonald, Massena. 20 down.
Wait, what? Okay, I'm so confused, because they started off with, like, 10, or at least these first ones in just one episode, and then split these guys up into 2 episodes. So I guess it's gonna split the last ones in 3 episodes. Oh well, that's fine. Just more content for us to watch, which is good. But yeah, thank you all for watching, everyone, and stay tuned for my next episodes, and goodbye. Hello everyone, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell thingy. And if you didn't, then make sure to leave a thumbs down. Oh yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. And while you're at it, go ahead and watch my other videos. They're probably just as good, then if not better than this one right now. Except for my oldest videos, don't watch those. And, subscribe to these people down here, my fellow sergeants. They're other YouTubers that I either know or I have in high regards. Yeah, even my cat agrees. So, thank you for watching, and have a great day.